Hi, I'm Karen. We're here at Montavilla Sewing Center, and today we're talking about the Baby Lock Verve. In this video, I'm going to show you the accessories that come with this machine. To start off with, you have this nice cover. It's a nice, hard, protective cover for your machine. So whenever you're not using your machine, cover it up, keeps the dust off. It's really nice. And there's a place in the top for the handle to come through. Put that back here. You've also got this nice extension table. Now this is nice for if you're sewing larger things, maybe you're doing a quilt or something where you need a little more support. It's also got inch and centimeter markings down here at the bottom, which is really handy. Then we have your embroidery unit. Since this is an embroidery machine, you can use this unit for the embroidery side of the machine. When you're not doing embroidery, then you would just use your accessory tray right here. Let's put that on there. Okay, and then we also have the foot control. And we have the power cord. And then here we have the embroidery hoop that comes with your machine. Now this gives you a 4x4 field. How would you know that? Use the little template inside here and you can actually see how big the embroidery field is. Now the reason for this template is to help you place your embroidery design on your fabric. And once you've placed it where you want it to be, then just take that off and you can start embroidering. Now the machine, if you've played with your machine at all, you can tell there are a couple different hoops that are options. This is an optional hoop, which the machine does refer to. It's a smaller hoop. And this would be good for children's clothing, or if you're just going to do a really tiny design and you don't need the bigger hoop. But this is an optional hoop that you can buy. Okay, and you also have the instruction manual, which of course is really helpful for learning all about your machine, in addition to watching my videos, of course. But it's got a lot of good information. You've got the quick start guide, which is really nice for just showing pictures of how to attach things to your machine and just kind of getting to know your machine. This is actually, if you're new to this machine, start here. Then you've got the embroidery guide, and the embroidery guide is wonderful for showing large pictures of the embroidery design, so you can really get a feel for what they look like, as well as how long it takes to stitch them out and what colors of thread you would use. Okay, and then over here we have the feet and the other accessories that come with this machine. Now your J foot will come on your machine already installed. Then you have the N foot. The nice thing about the N foot is that it has a groove here at the bottom, and that groove is so that if you're doing a decorative stitch or a satin stitch, it has a way to just kind of flow right on through, and that's nice for that. Okay, this one is the G foot. Now the G foot is great for doing like a zigzag or an overcast stitch at the edge. It has this little stitch finger there which helps keep enough slack in the thread to make a nice flat finished edge. Then you have your zipper foot. Now this zipper foot can be put on either on the left or the right, depending on which side of the zipper you're sewing, and you can get nice and close to the teeth. Another nice thing about this, it has this groove here at the bottom on both sides, so you can use that, the zipper foot, to sew on that thinner piping that you get, the Coates brand piping. So it's good for that. And this is your blind hem foot. Now the blind hem is a special technique, but it tells you all about that in your instruction manual. But that's the foot you would use. This is the button sewing foot. So you would use this if you're sewing the kind of buttons that have holes that go through them. This holds it in place really nicely. Then we have the buttonhole foot. Now I do have another video on how to use this and how to make buttonholes. It makes really nice buttonholes. Here is the embroidery foot, and you would use this in conjunction with your embroidery unit. This is the foot that you would use, and I have videos on that too. Then this is a needle set. Now there's different colors here. You would have to look in the manual to find out what those different colors mean in terms of the kind of needles that they are, but they're meant for different purposes. Then you have a twin needle. Now the twin needle, the purpose of that is to sew decorative stitches with two colors of thread or two different threads on your machine on the top, and then just your bobbin, your single bobbin at the bottom. Now that's used in conjunction with this little spool pin. We put this up right up here, and so you have one spool here, thread them separately, and then you thread your double needle, your twin needle by hand right there. Okay. Now this little guy here, this is a net that you'd put around the kind of springy threads that tend to want to just unspool all by themselves. I'll kind of give you an example here. The way you do it, now this is just embroidery thread, but I'm just showing you how you would put this on. You'd put it on so that the thread hangs on to and just kind of stays with the spool until it just naturally flows off as you're sewing. Okay. By the way, knitters use things like this to help keep the yarn around the ball so it just stays put until it's used for knitting, things like that. Okay, and then you have bobbins. Now these are Baby Lock bobbins. They are class 15 bobbins. They're a little bit different. I think you could use regular class 15 bobbins, but Baby Lock bobbins, you can, of course, get those kind here too. They're good bobbins. Then you have bobbin thread for doing your embroidery. This is embroidery bobbin thread. This is Finishing Touch, is a really nice brand. This happens to be white that comes with your machine, but you can also buy Finishing Touch in black if you're doing darker colors. And then this is your seam ripper, and of course this is great for removing seams, removing stitches, but it's also good for doing buttonholes. Once you've done a buttonhole, you want to open that buttonhole, this is what you would use, this tool right here. Now what if you have a keyhole buttonhole? That's the end. It's kind of like your jeans buttonholes that have sort of an eyelet at the end. This is what you'd use. This is an eyelet punch. There's also eyelets that you can do on this machine, and this is the tool that you would use for that. Got a handy pair of scissors, nice sharp points to them. This is your cleaning brush, and for cleaning and maintenance on this machine, you'd use your brush to clean out any lint. Now this is one of the screwdrivers that goes with your machine. Now notice the end of this is a little bit wider than your normal screwdriver, and it's made for the types of screws that are on this machine. A similar one, this one here is a shorter one. Now this is short because if you're taking out this screw down here, you want something nice and short that fits under there. In the middle here we have various spool caps. Now the spool caps, you can have, this one would be for a large spool of thread, but you want to match them up to the kind of thread that you have. So let's say, for instance, you were using a spool like this. This is good quality Madeira, or good quality Metler thread that we have here at Montavilla, and we would want to use the smaller spool cap for that. You don't want to use a big spool cap because what that does is it puts extra tension on the thread as it's coming off the spool. So fit the spool cap to your spool that you're using. Now what about this one? That's for these kind of spools that don't have an sort of an end cap to them. You'd put this right in there, and the purpose of all of your spool caps is to keep them from sliding off the spool pin. So this is the kind you would use for your cone threads. Then we have an additional bobbin case cover. This one, the one that's on the machine, has marks on it here. This one does not. So it's just an extra one that they give you. And I believe that's it. Well, that's quite a lot of accessories. Try them out. Have fun with this machine. Watch my other videos. We also have other videos on other machines here on our Montavilla YouTube channel, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye.